Hello and welcome, for the first time, to Howard Horror. In today's video, we're going to be covering 3 horrific accidents, all taking place in theme parks. Our first story takes place on January 3rd, 1984, at Disneyland. Dolly Young and her group of friends had gone to Disneyland as a New Year treat. Around 3:30 p.m., they had decided that they wanted to ride the Matterhorn. The Matterhorn was your average bobsled on rails type of roller coaster, reaching speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. After loading the sled, they had waited for the staff member to check their seatbelts. It should be known that at the time there was no safety regulation laws regarding roller coasters, and the safety standard of each park was up to that park. The ride started up as normal until the sled rounded a corner that would later be known as Dolly's Dip, and Dolly was ejected from her seat, hitting the walls as she landed. To the surprise of the onlookers from the gondola above, she started to get back up, but unfortunately, moments later, to the horror of those watching, another sled came barreling around the bend, and Dolly, age 48, was decapitated. To this day, it is unknown if she unfastened her own seatbelt or if it malfunctioned mid-ride. And to this day, the Matterhorn is considered to be haunted by Dolly's spirit. On July 11th, 2010, Lindsay Zeno visited the Blue Bayou Water Park. She chose to ride the Extreme Coaster as it was one of the more interesting rides there, despite only going 37 miles per hour. Somewhere along the ride, a witness would claim she saw Lindsay's safety bar go up when they went around a corner. Despite Lindsay's best efforts to hold the safety bar down, on the next corner, she was ejected from her seat and fell 33 feet down to the ground. She survived the initial impact, but sadly later died of her injuries. An investigation would be done, but it was unknown if her harness malfunctioned mid-ride or if it was never locked to begin with, which is a horrifying thought. Our final story takes place at Darien Lake Amusement Park in New York State. This park was known for its Ride of Steel. It was a massive hypercoaster with a 200-foot drop, several massive hills, and 2 helixes. In July of 2011, Sergeant James Hackemer took a trip to Darien Lake Amusement Park with his family. When they got to the entrance of the park, an employee asked if James wanted a special pamphlet with details of the safety of the rides for disabled people. James replied that he had one of his own. James was a veteran of the Iraq War. He had lost both of his legs in service due to an explosion of an IED, and because of this, he was wheelchair bound. He had looked down at his list of all the rides, and the first one on it was the Ride of Steel. James, being in a wheelchair, entered the ride from where you would exit to make boarding easier, but this was a crucial mistake as his height was not checked like it would have been as he was entering from the front. This was crucial because with James being an amputee, he was actually too short to ride. Sadly, James boarded the ride and it set off, doomed for an accident to happen. The ride sets off with a large climb and then it goes into a fast descent followed by winding twists and turns until finally hitting 2 massive hills. As the train crests the hills, the riders are weightless for a mere moment, and in this moment, James feels himself lift up and slide out of the safety bar. James was ejected from his seat at around 50 miles per hour from the front row. He hit his head on the way down, and then sadly, he died of his injuries shortly later. That's going to wrap up our 3 theme park accidents. I hope you all enjoyed this, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing, as there will be more videos very soon. Thank you for tuning in for the first time to Howard Horror.